best analogy of working Web3, I would say it's torture.
This is Hatu, co-founder of DAO Maker, one of the leading launchpads in the crypto space. He joins us today to talk about the process of democratizing capital from his perspective as current CMO. Let's dive right in. What are your experiences working in Web3?
It never sleeps, right? In genuine statement, people are highly demanding because most of the Web2 like companies, right? That you cannot talk to anyone in the team even. It's like, you have a problem with Facebook, who do you talk to? Right? You can have a problem with Coinbase and you will just spam Armstrong or like, I have a problem. And then others will catch up into it and then they have to respond to it immediately. So it's 24/7, it's constantly immediate service. I think if you're really up for a challenge where you can scale extremely fast, right? This is the industry to be. Because it's so competitive and tough, it's real competition is not that high. Yes, this is thousands of startups building the same thing, but in reality, a lot of it is just the step one copy pasting and nothing beyond that. So the competition isn't that tough here. I deal with like hundreds of startups, and a lot of them, they don't put the kind of grunt work that all the equity startups that I see do. So that causes, there's an excess of capital in the market and the scarcity of hardcore biz dev effort in this market. That makes it painful, but it's easier to grow here if you're willing to put in the pain.
You've incubated hundreds of projects in Web3 already through different market cycles. Now, does the current market cycle have an impact on the selection process?
In a bull run, there's always a land grab, right? If you say no to too many projects, they go to your competitor. This reminds me of the movie The Big Short, right? Where they go to the rating agencies and they go like, why are you giving these these really not great bonds this kind of spotlight? And they're like, well, we don't have an option. Then they go to the next guy.
If we don't work with them, they will go to our competitors. Not our fault, simply the way the world works.
And I mean, that's why Binance listed like burger, bakery, I don't know what other stuff in the bull run, right? They don't have an option, right? They'll go to their competitor. And they even said it publicly. When they listed sushi for the first time, they said, we have to. If we don't, people leave and go to the next guy. And it was the same thing with us. When in 2021, when there were not that many funding platforms at the very beginning, a lot of them I experienced came to exist just because we were saying no to a lot of stuff. And we realized it's a bull run. It'll go up anyways. And if we say no just because we feel it doesn't have longevity, or there's a low likelihood of longevity, someone else will take it and people will rush there. And we bled a lot of users then. And then we had to change our approach and really lower the bar. And I think look at Coinbase, they listed like PAW token. I don't even know what. They listed a lot of stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? 200 things that don't make sense, but they just didn't want to bleed any more users. They just put it there. Then, and in that case, from the point of view of platforms like ours or exchanges, a DAO market is in the sense nicer. You can be a lot more selective and focus on things that you really want. Like in our case right now, and I would say this is something shared between both funding platforms, probably also lending platforms when they're selecting collateral, and also exchanges when they're selecting new listings, is again looking at your established user base. So less to do with the narrative, because there aren't that many narratives right now that are effective, if any, to be honest, beside meme coins. You're just gonna see, are you live and you have users? Bootstrapped startups are in very high interest demand at the moment.
How do successful startups and brands stand out within the Web3 ecosystem?
I mean, if you have a real product that people want, product market fit, then a bull market is anyways going to be a lot easier to stand out in than the bear market, because I don't want to go over the charts from my one, but you know what the charts in the bull market look like. Yes, they peak up for like 1 month and then they die anyways. So it doesn't really affect you, right? The only thing is a lot of your competitors are probably getting funded too, but they don't have anything to begin with, so why do you care? And the main thing at the end of the day is, are you getting customers and users, right? I get it. We're in an industry where community matters a lot. Shiba Inu is worth so much because of a community. But like that's, I think 1 out of 400,000 meme coins. You can buy the lottery ticket also. I mean, why not? But with that aside, I think most of the startups with more fanciful ideas, and as long as they're able to somewhat hit a product market fit, have a lot easier time, because in a bull run, people have more wealth. And when they have more wealth, they're more likely to become customers of new things because they just feel they can afford more stuff. This is basic economics, right? This is why economies have a boom and bust. So in an up cycle, people take more debt, take more leverage, spend more. So if you have a genuine product with a PMF that makes sense, it's easier than ever to get customers, actual spending customers in an up cycle. People have more money and they feel more confident as a consumer.
This episode is brought to you by Lens Protocol. Lens Protocol is a Web3 social graph designed to empower creators with full ownership and control over their content and community. Lens isn't a social media app, it's a protocol that lets Web3 social apps thrive through its open source tech stack. When you create content on Lens, you own it, you control it, you take it from app to app, and you decide how it's being monetized. While Lens might just be the last social media handle you will ever need to create. What are the most common mistakes or pitfalls you see in marketing strategies within the space?
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, most of the startups I've come across in crypto don't market beyond like 2 verticals, and there's like 20 plus. I personally don't like the concept of airdrops, they don't do much. But in terms of marketing itself, the big issue is that a lot of companies in the space, they just look at marketing in 2 ways. Twitter, just Twitter, that's it. Post stuff there. And get influencers. And that's like 1.2 verticals. It's not, because I would say Twitter comes under like socials and content. And that's like 1 out of like 5 platforms you should hit to begin with. So that's like 0.2 effort. And influencers also, they don't really try and go out and get like really meaningful key opinion leaders. They just get like, you get what I mean. And then they go tap 0.5. So I'd give them a 0.7 out of 20. You'd be shocked. I want you to go to Google and type Web3 gaming or tokenized games. Basic SEO, you will not find a single crypto game. Type DeFi, you don't find any DeFi protocol. It's just that there's no effort put into marketing. Well, the fact that if someone was ever interested in Web3 gaming and went to Google and searched it, which is, by the way, when people have a purchase decision, 92% of the time, the first thing they do is they go search it on Google. So they would search it and they will find no game.
Oh, I give up.
Okay, and gone. From the very top of the funnel, the person left. That will work for DeFi a lot of the time too, I can tell you. So, I mean, very minimal efforts being put to get people in, beside running, 20,000 person food farms that we had in DeFi peak.
In the end, customers are all that matters, and marketing is obviously a key element in that regard. So what is your advice on how to successfully onboard customers to your products?
Start trying to market for a community rather than customers, right? So they're going after social platforms where there's traders rather than the psychological funnel that a customer would go through. So you don't see them build up newsletters to kind of engage their customer base, send them out, go like, I noticed you came to my site, come back, play the game. They don't do that. This is like basics that you do in even an e-commerce platform. They don't do that, let alone more advanced stuff that a game would. They don't try to build a brand for the game. It's a long list. There's a lot of things that they can do. What I can tell you is they don't do anything. Almost. If you look into most stocks on NASDAQ or next stock exchange, they're making great revenue, but their volumes aren't fantastic. They don't need them to be so fantastic, right? Because they can just run massive buybacks with the actual money they make. So they don't try to cater to traders, they cater to customers. In the end, that's where fundamental value comes out to. Now, why don't startups in crypto do this? This is a great question, and I think one of the main tough points is it's very hard to hire good marketers in this space.
Okay, you just mentioned it's difficult to find experienced marketeers within this space. Can you elaborate on that? And more importantly, what's your advice for companies looking to hire a marketeer?
Did you really learn really high quality attempts of how to build SEO funnels in college? No, you did not. Okay, so So college did not teach you how to run proper PPC, did not teach you how to run proper SEO, did not teach you how to build proper. So yes, a lot of people have an education in marketing, but in reality, that is not so effective. They ended up, really good marketing is built up when you have to actually jump into the field and someone tells you, okay, here's your product, go build it. Now, a lot of it comes out to lots of experience. Now, because a lot of inflow of professionals in the Web3 space is either young kids who have little to no experience in actual marketing, except putting stuff on Twitter. What we need a lot more people who had Web2 experience. They worked at proper companies, built marketing channels there, but they aren't so acquainted with crypto and don't work into it. That's the big issue, right? That's the big issue here. So experienced marketers don't exist in this space, or just are very rare. That needs to be addressed. So in ideal cases, teams really want to build good marketing funnels. They're not going to find a ready candidate. They need to find someone who's a really established, experienced Web2 startup marketer, get them on board, and then onboard them, teach them what crypto is, blockchain is. That person needs to have an enthusiasm into the Web3 space, but needs to be experienced. And then it can work. I know a couple companies that do have good CMOs, and they went through this process. Found someone from Web2 and then knew they had enthusiasm about Web3 and educated them to the max for like a month, and it worked.
It's often being heard that a too high entry barrier is one of the factors keeping back mass adoption. What's your take on this?
So, okay, that's a good point. Actually, entry barrier was quite tough even a year or two ago, but a lot of infra products were built across the last year. So you don't need to know a wallet to play a lot of games anymore. There's enough games building on infra like, I'm not gonna name the protocols, but basically you don't need a wallet. You just need an email and a password, and you can play a game, you can use DeFi. Stuff like this is available now. A lot of projects just choose not to build it because they don't even do their research, so don't know that stuff exists.
Okay, so there's also been a lot of talk about valuations and market caps in Web3. When you look at the future or even the present, do you feel that there's enough value creation potential to justify these valuations?
So I always was so concerned when I was coming out of the bear market of 18 and 19, and certain assets that I was bought at the bottom that were like reaching like 200 million FDV, and I was like, oh my god, this is unjustifiable. I unfortunately exited all those positions that then went to like 10 billion or whatnot. Okay, I don't know, but I look at the stock market and I look at minor games with almost no income and very minor revenue hitting like tens of billions of FTV. So in a bull run, valuations are a meme, straight out of the gate, right? Just it can all go to as much as possible as long as the narrative is right. Now in longevity, right, when the bubble bursts, very few companies come back, right? So is the stuff sustained? I think valuations in the industry can be pretty high. The cost of running a lot of stuff in this industry is very low. So margins often are very high for most of the companies. Coinbase is an exception, a very unusual exception. Think about the stablecoin providers, right? So let's say like 80 billion Tether out there. And Tether is like 8 employees. So they're making like 4%. They're making 4% on those $80 billion. Just how much money they're making. I don't know what the valuation of Tether is, but it's gonna be astronomical, right? A lot of the exchanges have obscene margins. So DeFi protocols, they also have insane margins. Look at Pancake. Technically, the protocol exists and now it just takes money every day. So yeah, no, valuation is gonna be pretty high. There's a lot of money moving through this industry every year. Transacting, buying, all this stuff. Can valuations hit billions? Yes, but I think it's very tough for valuations to hit that figure if you're not within the domain of trading, lending, and fundraising. outside of that segment, things are unproven.
Okay, it's also well known that the industry is driven by trends and narratives. From your seat, what sectors are currently experiencing a lot of attention from new founders?
Honestly, the move to earn trend ended, I feel, very much so. And that was like the mini trend we had in this overall downward trend of the macro market. But I'm gonna just like loop it back to the point I made. Right now, we're looking mostly into companies that have an established user base, and they go out into the market. They don't have an issue. They don't need a narrative. They have a proven product and a user base and an effective marketing funnel that works. They have month-on-month growth. Real startups. And they're doing fine. It doesn't matter how the bear market is, because they're able to make, they're free cash flow, they have net income every quarter. So if someone really wants to build something in a bear market, they can't grift anymore. Can't be like, I sold a token and that's it, peace. Very unlikely that'll go anywhere. You're gonna have to actually be committed to building something that's gonna make income.
If you feel the urge to dive deeper into Web3 or just enjoy listening to our wonderful conversations, don't forget to subscribe to be notified once our next video is up.